A millionaire came home unannounced and froze when he saw the housekeeper doing this to his son. The mansion was silent, too silent for a castle usually filled with the gentle comings and goings of staff walking its vast corridors. Valerie shifted the laundry basket from one hip to the other, balancing it carefully while listening for any sign from the baby. She had worked as a housekeeper in wealthy homes for years, but this one was different. The Beaumont estate wasn't just polished marble and perfectly staged rooms, it was a place where she had grown attached to the smallest heartbeat that echoed within, little Theo. Theo was 8 months old, bursting with curiosity, already able to crawl faster than she could fold a sheet. That morning she had settled him on a soft blanket in a corner of the laundry room. Next to him a pile of toys, but like any child, what fascinated him most was what wasn't meant for him. The shiny buttons on the machine, the round glass reflecting his laughing face. Valerie leaned over the basket, shaking her head with a smile when she heard him babbling. "What are you up to now, little man?" she murmured. When she turned around, her heart jumped. Theo had crawled up to the front-loading washing machine, his chubby little hands pressed against the cold metal door. Before she could scold him, he tried to pull himself up, giggling at his own reflection. The machine was off, unplugged, harmless. Valerie had checked it earlier, as always, but when Theo slipped a little and tilted forward, she jumped onto the mat and caught his small body before he could bump his head. He let out a cry of joy, thinking it was a game, his tiny arms reaching forward, and in the confusion of the moment, his torso sank halfway into the empty, gaping drum of the washing machine. "Lord have mercy," Valerie exclaimed, laughing nervously, one hand gripping his waist, the other holding the door so it wouldn't close. Theo cried out again, this time with pure laughter, his legs kicking in the air as if he had found the best hiding place in the world. His burst of laughter filled the laundry room, so loud it almost drowned out the frantic beating of her heart. She pulled gently, bringing him back to her. "You little troublemaker," she said, smiling despite her fear. "You want to give me gray hair before my time?" Theo's chubby hands gripped her arm, his face beaming with happiness. To calm him down, she made exaggerated faces, pretending to struggle against a machine that wanted to swallow him. Theo burst into laughter, still safe in her arms. For Valerie, this was a balance she knew well, keeping a child occupied while keeping him out of danger. She had raised 3 younger siblings, worked as a governess before becoming a housekeeper. She understood babies better than their distracted parents. There was no danger here, no cruelty, just a moment of comfort, a way to distract a restless little boy while finishing the endless work of maintaining a millionaire's mansion. But fate always has its way of twisting the most innocent scenes. The sound of a door opening made her jump. Footsteps echoed on the polished floor of the hallway. Valerie froze. Theo was still laughing against her chest. She turned toward the doorway, just as a tall figure appeared. Raphael Beaumont, the master of the house, back hours earlier than expected. He had been away for nearly 3 weeks, traveling from city to boardroom, a man consumed by business and deadlines. Today he had chosen not to give notice, wanting to see for himself how the house ran in his absence. What he saw stopped him cold. His eyes widened. The scene before him looked monstrous. His only son halfway inside a washing machine, the housekeeper leaning over him laughing. The carpet beneath their feet suddenly looked like a nightmare scene. "What is this?" Raphael's voice cracked like a whip. He lunged forward, his shiny shoes striking the tile, his face twisted with disbelief and fury. Valerie stepped back, clutching Theo tighter against her. The baby, sensing the change in tone, stopped laughing and whimpered softly. "Sir, this isn't what you think." Valerie's voice trembled, but her grip was firm. She rocked Theo instinctively. "He was playing. He crawled there himself. I swear the machine is off. Never, never would I do that." Raphael's fists clenched, his breathing labored, his heart pounding with that fear every parent knows, overwhelmed by the worst images. "You put my son in there?" he growled, his voice echoing off the walls. Valerie shook her head vigorously, her eyes welling up. "No, no, sir. He crawled. He slipped. I caught him before he could get hurt. He's safe. I promise you he's safe." She held Theo even tighter, her cheek pressed against his shoulder, his little hand gripping her uniform. Raphael stopped a few steps away, jaw clenched, his whole body trembling with the storm raging inside him. He stared at the scene. Her, the baby. The open mouth of the washing machine. He didn't know whether to believe her or explode with rage, a man who felt betrayed in the very place he should feel safe. "Tell me," he finally breathed in a low voice, harder than broken glass, "what exactly were you doing with my son?" Her throat tightened, but she spoke anyway. "Sir, please, you must believe me. He was playing near the machine. I didn't take my eyes off him for a single second. He tried to pull himself up. He slipped. His body slid halfway in before I caught him. I held him the whole time. I never let go. He was laughing because I made it into a game so he wouldn't cry." "You think this is funny?" His voice cracked, broken, but the anger was very real. "You think my son's life is a joke? Do you know what I saw when I walked in here? I saw my boy stuffed into a machine like... The image too horrible to say aloud. Valerie shook her head, tears flowing freely. "No, sir, it's not a joke. I swear I would never hurt him. I love this child as if he were my own. You're away so often. I'm the one who rocks him when he won't sleep. I'm the one who feeds him when he cries at night. He knows me, he trusts me. Do you think he would cling to me right now if I had put him in danger?" Raphael wavered, his eyes moving from her tear-streaked face to the small body curled in her arms. Theo whimpered again, then lifted his big wet eyes and reached out a tiny hand toward his father. That gesture broke something in Raphael. He stepped forward, pulled the boy from Valerie's arms and pressed him to his chest. Silence fell over the laundry room, only Theo's soft sniffles echoing. Raphael buried his face in his son's hair, breathing in his warmth, calming his breathing. Then slowly he looked up at Valerie. "You're telling me he got in there by himself?" His voice remained hard, but lower, almost searching. "Yes," Valerie said firmly. "I pulled him out as soon as it happened. The machine is unplugged. I check every morning before I even let him crawl in here. He was safe, I promise you." She wiped her cheeks, forcing her gaze to meet his despite the trembling. "It looked worse than it was, but I would rather die than leave him in danger." Raphael studied her. He wanted to stay angry. It was easier than admitting his fear had gotten the better of him. But the longer he looked at her, the harder it became to ignore the truth. Theo hadn't cried because he was afraid of her. He had laughed. The child had trusted her enough to find joy, even in clumsiness, and in Raphael's mind arose a brutal reality. He hadn't been there, not for the full, not for the laughter, not for most of the moments that shaped his son's young life. The trips, the business, the dinners had come first. Valerie had filled the gaps. He let out a long, trembling breath. "You're right," he admitted in a hoarse voice. "It looked terrible. My God, Valerie, you can't imagine what went through my mind seeing him in there." He closed his eyes for a moment, then reopened them. "But I believe you." Relief washed over Valerie so strongly that her legs almost gave out. She placed a hand against the machine to steady herself, whispering, "Thank you, sir." Raphael looked down at Theo, who had calmed in his arms. The child reached out toward Valerie, making a small sound that wasn't a whimper, but a call. Raphael hesitated, then moved closer, letting Theo extend his arms until Valerie could grasp his little hand. The boy smiled through his still damp lashes, bridging the space between them. The tension dissolved. Raphael's voice softened for the first time that day. "You've taken care of him like a mother, haven't you?" Valerie looked down. "I did what any woman with a heart would do. He needs love, and I give him all I have." Raphael swallowed hard, unexpected emotions rising in him. For years he had considered his staff simply as employees, nothing more. But here his son was reaching out to a woman bound not by blood or money, but by love. Raphael felt humbled. "I owe you more than a salary," he said softly. "I owe you my gratitude." Valerie shook her head, still gripping Theo's little hand. "Just promise me you'll be more present, sir. He needs his father." The words hit him harder than any accusation. Raphael nodded slowly, the weight of truth settling on his shoulders. "You're right," he murmured. "He needs me." In the silence of the laundry room, the millionaire, the housekeeper, and the child stood there, forming an unlikely triangle, held together not by wealth but by the fragile and powerful bond of trust. If this story touched you, don't forget to click like and subscribe to Stories That Matter channel to discover more moving, intense, and surprising tales. Tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. We love reading your messages. See you very soon. Stay kind, stay curious,